What is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with an exciting video and overview of the best characters and team synergies for the upcoming Black Cat Legendary event. So, as you can see, time recording, it is just about a day that the event's going to be live. So, I will make sure that I'm going to be making videos on the get-go in terms of showcasing for you guys a lower difficulty run through, but as well how high I can push in the higher difficulties and what settings to max minimize. Having said that, if you guys are interested, hitting the eye for additional details does give you a quick rules of the trial event. As you can see, essentially it's similar to the Scourge events that we've seen with the Horsemen, except there's going to be these packs that we essentially add status effects. Ultimately, adding more of these can impact positively or negatively to your team, but as well, that's going to give you more additional points in total. And what you really want to be going for then is the highest run score, because that ultimately determines the shard payout for Black Cat, but as well rewards you shards while you hit certain milestones too. If you hit preview, the milestones are actually already available here if you wanted to take a sneak peek in regards to how far you want to go. I think they were saying to get a 3-star, you need to at least hit a minimum of about, I think, 600 or so. Could be that 550 mark in the shards. Sorry guys, didn't count the shards up. But I know for the ranking though, for those of you that aren't able to push deeper and higher into the raids, you really want to be maximizing at least getting into the rank rewards. As you can see on the bottom left there, just a disclaimer note, it says reach 100,000 points to earn rank rewards. That is inaccurate right now. As per the blog post, it does say 400,000 is the minimum mark, so something just to watch out for in case you see this detail. It is misleading. You need to hit 400 to earn at least the minimum payout shards here. It looks like 30 shards as opposed to the 100 that we see. So hopefully they revised that so it's not confusing. Having said that, guys, here is the breakdown of the trial event. So I mean, these are essentially the two significant areas that you want to be focusing on. Everything that's difficulty 4 or lower is going to require you to have some combination of hero, brawler, mystic, and controller team. And difficulty 5 and higher is going to need Nowhere and Sinister 6 as the feature team for certain nodes. We have brawlers, we have a more exclusive mystic villain, and we also have a global controller. So, a lot of them kind of lean off each other. As you can see, they're an extension of the mystic and mystic villain, the controller and global controller. So what I'll do is I'll probably do a high level discussion of those three areas, including brawlers, just because a lot of good characters are already hero, but as well showcase for you guys now at least how high I built up my Nowhere team, because that is going to be the go-to team. So let's get right to it. In my honest opinion, I think Brawler is going to be one of the most diverse and funnest node to play just because of the versatility of characters that we have. And I love the fact that it didn't really limit you on that aspect. So like adding another tag like Hero or Villain Brawler. As you can see, I've kind of added hearts to all the characters I think are going to be extremely valuable. But obviously notable mentions, bringing in characters like Val and Red Hulk, Shang-Chi. They're just great plug-and-play characters. We can see a lot of different synergies. So you can see America Chavez with Miss Marvel having the assisted attacks. We got Gamora, Nebula with the Infinity Watch dual dynamic combination. We also have the newer characters like Thor Infinity War and Star-Lord Annihilation. So the fact that these two are going to be available for us to utilize, especially before one of the trait nodes, is going to help us set up their abilities as well. What I also like is that there's a pretty good healthy mix of Asgardians. So even if you want to mix up Val with Thor Infinity War, we got Valkyrie. They can have that Asgardian kind of finish there to have that synergy. But those are all the ones I'd recommend. Quicksilver is obviously a really good one too, being a plug and play and can provide a lot of support for the team. But for sure, I think a key character is going to be Miss Marvel, guys, because just keep in mind her passive allows any kind of hero brawler to also get an assist. So it doesn't just apply to Young Avengers. Just keep that in mind. Even though we do have Young Avengers, America Chavez, Miss Marvel, and Echo also being available, there's just a lot of fun plug and play. Another good one is also the Wakandans that we have here. Black Panther 1mm. They're going to have some synergies there in terms of you want to bring them up if you haven't already. But I think definitely out of these characters here that I've hearted, these 15 characters or so are great combinations. That's not to say these other ones aren't that great. We have a lot of mixture of the Web Warriors as well if you haven't built up. So I think Brawlers in general is just going to have a lot of versatility. Zombie Iron Man, is another good choice. But any character you've built up, guys, I think Brawlers can be super fun because a lot of them are plug and play. But like I said, make sure you take advantage of Miss Marvel's hero brawler if you can, especially with Red Hulk being a horseman, Val having revives. It's going to be super fun to partake. Now let's take a look at some of the most powerful Mystic characters. And keep in mind, this is going to include the subset of villains as well. So obviously, heroes like Spider Weaver, Cersei, and Icarus, these are only going to be available, Deathpool as well, they're only going to be available in the lower difficulties. But, when you have enemy villains like Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange Heartless, Agatha Harkness, Dormammu. These are so powerful characters that we can utilize for Mystic Villain in difficulties 5 and higher. So I love that aspect. Cloak and Dagger is really good. And as you can see, we get some value again with America Chavez if you built her up as a Young Avenger. I'm seeing that there's a lot of usage in terms of how many different areas that they can be touched across. Quicksilver is another good one, like I said, with him being hero. I think another really interesting one as well for villains anyways is the Bifrost team, right? We got Loki, Sylvie, and Loki Teen, all being Bifrost, all being villains, so they can have that synergy as well. But just be mindful of the fact that if you're looking at some of these characters, if they're heroes, they can only be used in the difficulties 4 and lower. So I mean, just a lot of good usage. Like I said, I think the full Bifrost can actually be utilized if you actually have all of them built up. But key players, without a doubt, Doctor Doom, and as well as Morgan Le Fay. Both of them being versatile characters, but as well having a lot of synergies, and they can shut down a lot of enemies at a very great rate. Darkhold is very prominent here as well with Agatha Harkness, Morgan Le Fay, and as well as Doctor Strange Heartless. So, I mean, those three, I think it's going to be definitely a lock for me. It's definitely going to hinder me a bit when we actually filter for the villains, right? But, I mean, like I said, some of those notable ones were already mentioned. After that, it does dip, right? If you don't have Dormammu, I think Ebony Maw can provide some really decent support. Absorbing Man's also great as well if you built up the Masters of Evil. Thanos is good for tanking, but other than that, it does fall apart. I think Mr. Negative, if you haven't built up as well, but obviously for myself, I haven't had a chance to build up the Underworld team. So definitely some strong mentions there for sure. For difficulties 5 and higher, we're also given the global controller. So the reason I specifically pointed out Morgan Le Fay and Doctor Doom earlier with the Mystic Villains is the fact that they're also able to be utilized for this trait. So I mean, there's just some huge value. Morgan Le Fay, especially with her being a top 5 character in the game, I think what's really strong as well in this mix is Omega Red. He's just a crowd controlling machine with both his special and ultimate. I know for sure personally I'm bringing in Black Widow just because of versatility. I've also got her up to Gear Tier 18 because of my Dark Dimension 6 run, so just a lot of value there. As for the 5th character, it's going to be plug and play dependent on the situation. I think Magneto, a lot of folks will have Dev C built up naturally for raids, so it makes sense to build him up for at least a 1 turn or even a 1 trait, so that way he does maybe blind a very heavy and congested node to be challenged. We got Dark Beast that has also synergy with Magneto, but obviously with those 2 characters being more raid focused, they are going to lose a bit of value there. If you need more crowd controlling, I like Sharon Carter. I haven't built her up since Gear Tier 16 for Dark Dimension 5, but I mean, her usage, she's basically a mini Omega Red, that does things not as good as Omega Red, but can provide the same kind of control aspect, unless you don't have her built up. I think another good one as well for turn manipulation and cleansing is Emma Frost. She's just one of those characters that have really stayed put in the game, even despite her not being statistically up to date. Just her kit usage is very valuable. And that's pretty much it, guys. Like, I think that's a big aspect here of what we see typically with who's going to provide value. Kate Bishop, if you have, like I said, the Young Avengers seem to be touching all the traits, which is really nice. I think Vision can be potentially a good and decent plug-and-play character with his ability block and being able to strip away positive buffs. Again, he loses a bit of value because he's not a Ray character, and we just need a sack character. Phoenix is always good for that scaling damage when Dark Phoenix does arise. So those are the ones I see that kind of point out, guys, in terms of characters I've already built up, but definitely some really good usage and versatility here. And then when we zoom out and actually take a look at the controller trait characters as a whole, as you can see, a lot of them are still kind of global, but there's some mystic additions here and there. So I mean, Cersei's an obvious one, especially if you guys are doing difficulties 4 and lower. She's going to still have that value already being part of that mystic team, but as well being able to be used as a hero previously with Icarus, right? So I think that's big. Cloak is also added here as well. We have Loki, and like I said, him being part of the synergy of Bifrost, but as well now that he can actually be utilized because he's not obviously a global character. I like the fact that there's some value there. So aside from that, other good strong mentions. Ghost Spider now has an opportunity to join the fight just because she's part of Web Warrior. She can spread a lot of negatives. But then other than that, a lot of these characters are pretty consistent and similar to what we saw with Global Controller. And again, I think the strong mentions have already been made. So Dr. Doom, Morgan Le Fay, definitely the MVPs for not just the global controller area, but as well Mystic Villain. They're going to be providing a lot of value. Last but not least, guys, as you saw from the sneak peeks of them being already included in other traits, this is typically how far I'm bringing each and every one of my nowhere characters. I think they're going to be able to push all the way to the end, and with a pretty decent score. I'm hoping for at least north of 1.5 million plus. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, a lot of great synergies here. I previously speculated Nova, Thor Infinity War and Star-Lord Annihilation are going to be the most valuable, and they bring in the most damage, which is huge. Cosmo is going to be soaking up a lot of damage, providing support, but Korg is also going to be tanking but falling quite a bit. He'll get the revives because of the war bonus. And I know I've seen this kind of question asked, especially from the community, especially my comments as well as Reddit, but they are hands down, indisputably, probably the only team that can work for these nodes, just given the multitude of characters that we're going to be up against and how much more powerful they are than the Sinister Six. Now, if you don't have this full team, the good news is that if you lose at least 1 or 2 characters, you can still slot in some Sinister Six to fill in the void, but it just won't have the same value as having all 5 characters because of all the war bonuses they're going to be granting to each other, especially Nova. So having said that, guys, keep in mind too, this is why I brought up the rank rewards earlier. If you guys are not able to utilize this for difficulty 5 or higher, you don't need them for difficulty 4 and lower. So as long as you're able to, again, go back to the event and take a look at the preview, you only actually have to hit the 400k points, and that way you are going to be guaranteeing at least a minimum of 30 shard payout, and hopefully at this point as well shards along the way. If you're ending up somewhere around 400k, you're still getting 10 shards there. That's 20. That's 30. It's 30 shards right there for Black Cat, plus the 30. That's going to give you 60 shards in total, which means the next time she runs, you likely have a very good shot of unlocking her. So there you guys have it. A quick overview of the best characters and teams, what I'm planning to bring in. I'll definitely keep you guys posted when the event go live, as well as pushing higher to the deeper difficulties with run score. Thank you as always. Let me know what you guys think in comments below of who your brand bring. Thank you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.